Oh, hey, look. The thing I knew would happen happened. Isn't that strange? You know, see when the police already aren't able to investigate like the vast majority of crimes like burglaries and assaults and all those other things. Like, see when the police can't manage any of that because they're underfunded, understaffed, and most of them just really do not care. See when you introduce a new law where they've said we will investigate every single complaint that is made to us, and then you get thousands of complaints a day, the police are completely overwhelmed. They cannot cope with the hate crime law. They can't. Because you're policing people's feelings. And if there's one thing that's definitely, not a binary or a one or a zero or consistent, it's people's feelings. Right? Everyone's going to feel a different way about everything. That's why feelings are a pretty hard thing to argue about, especially in somewhere like a court of law. So basically, the police can't cope. They can't cope with it, which is a wonderful thing, because I understand that everybody has been flooding the complaint line with all of the anti-white speech, of which there is a lot. You will be there a while, and that's making Hamza Yusuf and people at The Guardian going, yeah, the only people that are like doing this are like neo-Nazis and white supremacy. Oh yeah, neo-Nazis, those people who care very, very, very deeply about freedom of speech. Yeah, they're known for that. Absolutely. Hate crime complaints to Scottish police. Hold on, this bloody set to outnumber total for all other offences. Sublime. Hate crime reports in Scotland are on course to outnumber all other offences put together, figures show, as frontline officers warned they can't cope with the surge. And that's what I'm hearing among the police. Like, by the way, a lot of people are blaming the police. They're not. The police themselves, when this law was being drafted, came out and condemned the law. The police, they came out and went, how the fuck are we supposed to enforce this? And everything, like, we're already underfunded, understaffed, and everything as it is. Like, and you want to dump this on us, and, like, obviously the police have to investigate every single complaint, and hey-ho. But, I mean, it's probably nice to keep the police distracted, even if it is with frivolous reports. Never do that. I would never, ever encourage that. I would never encourage that. Ever. Ever. Don't do it. You naughty, naughty little bastards. Around 8,000 hate crime reports have been made in the first week of the new Scottish legislation coming into force, which, if replicated through the year, would surpass the entire annual total of 416,000 crimes reported to the police, according to an analysis of official data by The Telegraph. This would mean that hate crime reports would overtake overall crime within 36 weeks, or at least by the autumn, and dwarf the annual 58,000 reported assaults, the most common offence in Scotland. Yeah! we like to fight. I'm sorry, by a factor of 10. Like, ooh, hell yeah. I'm sorry. Look, a lot of us like to fight and a lot of us like to talk shit, right? It's a bad combination. It's just the way it is. I'm sorry. David Threadgold, chairman of the Scottish Police Federation, which represents frontline officers, told the BBC Police Scotland have gone public and said that on every occasion, reports of hate crime will be investigated, because obviously the police were told go directly after hate crime. They were told to go after that a lot more than assaults, burglaries, and thefts. They were specifically told that, and everybody's like, no, they weren't. They had a whole seminar. They had an entire seminar. Have you seen the pictures for the seminar that says we do not need to prove hate, even though it's meant to be a hate crime? That's them basically saying we don't need to prove the crime. We can just arrest you and throw you away in jail. That creates a situation where we simply cannot cope at the moment. Officers have been brought back in to do overtime shifts, and the management of that is simply unsustainable. He said the figures showed members of the public had weaponized the new... We told you that especially leftists were just going to use that because that's lawfare. That's what they do. They bring in the speech laws and then they use them to outlaw any type of ideological opposition, because it's a lot easier to do that than argue their case against the opposition, because the opposition is full of good ideas and we really don't have that hard of a time convincing everybody that our ideas are good. Leftists have a much harder time of doing that, which is why they decide to just make all other opinions illegal, right? The public are weaponizing it. Yeah, we told you that from day one. Like we told you, but you didn't listen. The new law to pursue personal and political vendettas, which, yeah, absolutely are happening. I mean, there was lots and lots of trans activists online all tweeting at J.K. Rowling and Graham Linehan and all those other people, you know, the big turfs and everything. They were counting down. There was one person, one Scottish trans activist, who was basically tweeting at Graham Linehan going, 5 days, Graham. 4 days now. 4 days now, and here are tweets where you misgendered me. So you've got 4 days to delete these before I grass you. And like that was like, see for a bunch of people, you know, I've just did this in my stand-up set. See for a bunch of people that would say, abolish prisons, defund the police, fuck the cops and all that. For people that are apparently all about that, they could not wait to fucking snitch. They couldn't wait to abolish prisons, but let's get all my enemies put in prison. Like, fucking, they're idiots. Like, but that's the problem with them. Like, they're hypocrites. They have absolutely no consistency. They don't realise that they are the very thing that they claim to fucking hate. And they're just complete morons. And they're not able to win arguments, so instead they just ban people from talking about things that they don't like. Because they're weak. They're weak. But unfortunately, they've got their foot in the door when it comes to making law. And that messaging to the public, urging them to report all possible instances of hate, potentially anonymously, had backfired. Well, no fucking shit. We told. I don't want to be. I just don't want to say we told you so every fucking 5 minutes. Assume. Yeah, in fact, you've all watched me on this channel. You know I told them, right? The bottom line is, should this demand remain, the police service will have to deal with it, but that will clearly impact on other areas of policing, he said. The new legislation, which was passed by MSPs in 2021, but only came into force in April 2024, makes it an offence to stir up hatred against protected groups. What does that mean? Oh, the law doesn't even say, because again, like I've said very, very many times, they love a grey area. What does this part of the legislation mean? Whatever the prosecutor wants it to in the moment, depending on his need. That's why they like a vague grey area in laws. Protected groups such as, privileged groups such as transgender people is what we should say. The disabled and the elderly. The disabled get a little bit of a pass. The elderly, fucking off you go out the door. No, I'm kidding on. No, the 8,000 reports of hate crime in just the first week surpassed the total annual number of hate crimes in any previous year. Woo! Woo! Got to get those numbers up, boys. There's not enough hate crime. No. Analysis by The Telegraph shows that Police Scotland is already failing to solve an increasing number of shoplifting cases, sexual assaults and car thefts. Now, this is the one thing that, ladies and gentlemen, right, I know that we're all very, very panicky about the speech laws and we're all going to have our human rights infringed upon, but the silver lining to all of that is the police are fucking useless. They are so inept and crap at their fucking job, right? And for a lot of them, it's not their fault. It's just they are not given enough time or resources to actually do their job. And instead of, you know, going after a man who broke into an old woman's house, punched her in the face and stole her purse, they're instead going after little Martin from Dundee because he posted a Pepe on fucking Twitter. You know, the real crime. The real serious fucking crime. And that's, like, trust me, a lot of police officers would love to go after the real shit, but the problem is they are being pushed by their higher-ups to focus primarily on hate crime. So instead of actual crimes against person or property, they are being told instead to police people's feelings and people's thoughts. Right? And trust me, from what I've heard in the police, they're not happy. But they can't say anything, because if they say anything, they'll lose their job. Sexual assaults and car thefts, clear-up rates referring to cases where there is enough evidence for criminal proceedings for 2/3 of all offences have declined since 2011, including violent offences, fraud and rape. It comes amid growing criticism of the Scottish Government's crime policies, which have seen officer numbers fall to their lowest levels in 15 years. Like I said, you know, the police at least are inept. The introduction of plans to shut 29 police stations and a policy of not investigating offences such as some minor thefts or criminal damage. And when the police aren't investigating it, that means it's legal. Right? Everybody's like, oh, look at all these like homeless people just walking into shops and filling their bags up and then walking back out. It's because the police won't investigate it. That's why everybody says, under libertarianism, what would happen if the police just stopped investigating? They're doing it now. Like I've said many times, they're not doing it now. Who's going to prevent child rape? Not the police, because they let it continue for a few fucking decades in Telford and Rotherham, right? So see how the thing you're worried about? We're in it right now. It's happening, right? But anyway, The Scottish Police in fact, I read that part. The Scottish Police Federation will warn on Tuesday in 1919, a Scottish Justice magazine, that the situation is posing risks to community policing. This meant vital intelligence that could prevent serious organised crime or terrorism was at risk of being missed because the police are far too busy away policing people's thoughts and feelings. Murdo Fraser, the Scottish Tory MSP, said, "It stands to reason that organised crime will flourish and the threat of extremism grow if officer numbers are at their lowest level since 2008 and police stations are closing up and down Scotland. These brutal cuts have forced the police to abandon investigating certain crimes at the same time as they are being deluged with thousands of fresh complaints, many of them spurious or vexatious under the Reckless Hate Crime Act. SNP ministers must swallow their pride, ditch the Hate Crime Act, and give our police the resources to tackle genuine threats to public safety," which I absolutely agree with. Right? I've got a feeling, right, this law has worked out so fucking badly that it might actually get repealed and the state doesn't do that. Whenever the state gets a law, it fucking holds on to that shit like a Scotsman holds on to a fiver. It's fine, I can make that joke. Right? Anything that gives the state power, it will never give it up. But basically, this has been such a fucking shit show. It got to the point where, like, the Law Society came out against it. Like, how often do the cops themselves, even like the fucking chief of police was like, "This is dumb. This is a dumb idea. We do not have the resources to be able to prosecute and investigate this law. This is a bad idea," Humza Yousaf, who at the time was Justice Minister, and fucking Humza Yousaf went, "Lol, don't care," and just did it anyway. So basically, the thing that Humza Yousaf was warned about happening fucking happened, and Humza Yousaf is like, oh, like shocked Pikachu because the man is a fucking moron. He is a complete fucking idiot, and it is terrifying that he is in power. Him being in charge of the Scottish government is like a monkey with a machine gun. It's like a recipe for disaster. The guy should be working in fucking McDonald's, never mind in government. That's how fucking inept he is. And he'd still fuck your order up because he's a fucking dribbler. Right, he's an idiot. He should not be in government. He's a fucking... God, I hate him. Anyway, Mr. Threadgold said that police had to deal with the demand created by the new law, but that the public needed clarity over what constituted an offence. Why is that, you might wonder? Because everyone's saying, even news organisations are coming out going, this is an offence, but that's not an offence. And they're going, and actually that one is an offence, but the other one isn't. And then you're even getting barristers and everybody going, I can't make sense of this either. Why? Because they made the law so fucking vague on purpose that no one has been able to interpret it correctly. Because, like I said many times, they love a grey area. Unfortunately, the areas this time are so grey that even the cops themselves are like, is this a crime? It feels like one, but I don't know. Like, that's the fucking problem. Right? So you're getting these fucking speech commissars. Oh, wait, wrong hat. Wrong hat. Wrong hat. Wrong hat. Anyway, we now need really clear messaging to the public. I have a lot of these different types of hats, right? I have a lot of them, right? It's not that I just own that particular one. I've got a few, right? That's my excuse. It's going to get clipped. We now need really clear messaging to the public about their decision-making, he said. If they are making vexatious complaints or complaints to score political points, they need to understand the impact that will have on our ability to deliver other services. So to the people making these complaints, I would say don't be surprised if you see your local police station close or never see an officer out on foot in your area. So, like, now, like, that's... your police stations will close and we won't patrol your area. It's like, oh no, yeah, that's been the case for like a decade now, pal. You've threatened us with something you've already done. Also, see if it says, this will cause the police to absolutely collapse. Challenge accepted. You shouldn't have told us that. Politicians have said, please do not make vexatious complaints. I disavow and do not encourage it in any way. But anyway, politicians have said the volume has taken them by surprise, but it was inevitable that this legislation would be misused and weaponized. So, in that respect, they are reaping what they've sown. The legislation will clearly age. What happens with it in the future, in terms of it remaining on the statute books, is a decision for someone else. But it has not had a particularly easy start to life on the statute books in Scotland, and there's been a real impact on policing so far, which you were warned about. You just chose not to listen. A Police Scotland spokesman said, while we have seen a substantial increase in the number of online hate crime reports being received since April the 1st, these have been managed within our contact centres and have not impacted frontline policing. Although the challenges facing Police Scotland should not be underestimated, officers continue to provide effective policing to communities across the country. And then it's just other articles here. Read more. That's just the end. That's the end of it there. But yeah, absolute farce, absolute joke, and all the stuff that's happened as a result is all the things that we all knew would happen. We all said it would happen. The police even warned Hamza Yusuf that this is going to go really, really badly, and he did it anyway. And so basically, I feel what is going to end up happening is, even in the SNP and among SNP voters, Hamza Yusuf is hated because people see him as a complete fanny, because he is. He is, like, I've yet, like, a lot of my friends are all SNP voters, right, which I roast them for all the time, but it's fine, we're all stupid now and again. But, like, even I've yet to find a single one that actually likes Hamza Yusuf. Everybody hates him, and he's going to cost the SNP dearly at the next election. I think we're going to get I think next election we are going to get sweeping Labour all over Britain. We're already getting 0 seats for the Tories, and let's face it, they fucking deserve it. And Labour are going to clear up in England, and I don't think Labour are going to clear up in Scotland, but they're definitely taking the crown off the SNP. They definitely are. However, if this law gets repealed, that would be another, before the next Scottish election, that would be another massive embarrassment for Hamza Yusuf, and it would cost them even more votes and seats. So if that could happen, that would be absolutely fantastic, because like I said, having Hamza Yusuf in charge is like a chimp with a machine gun, right? It's a recipe for absolute fucking disaster. That guy should not wield any kind of power at all, because even despite being told by, like, the barristers, the Law Society, advisors, the police themselves that this was a bad idea, Hamza is so fucking egotistical and was so angry about, because someone called him the fucking P word in fucking primary 3 or some shit like that he's held on to all these years, that he decided to just say, I don't give a fuck what anybody says, I am passing this massive law that will make me go down in history as the worst Scottish politician since Oliver Cromwell. Was he a Scottish politician? Well, depends who you ask. The English will say he was, but anyway, yeah, Hamza Yusuf is an absolute idiot. This went exactly the way that we thought it would, and please don't make vexatious complaints. That's very naughty.